It's not every day that I wake up with a divine inspiration. Sometimes it is a struggle for me, and I guess it kind of depends on where I'm at spiritually. But today, as I was thinking about and reflecting on what God wants in my life and would want me to reveal to others and work through me, I looked and I saw inspiration in a place that sometimes I don't wouldn't say I try to avoid, but it's kind of a last resort. But I realize that God works in mysterious ways, and even if this message isn't something for someone else, I know that God is using it to kind of teach me something. So sometimes all the time, I'm really good with just accepting the fact that God has something for me, and if the lesson that I'm going through has to be revealed to show others what they can either avoid, go through, or learn from my situation, then I'm glad to be an example. So, today's verse that I found in the Bible app, it's their daily verse for today, comes from Matthew's, and it talks about surrendering to God so that you can get rest. And I think that's something that I really struggle with sometimes because I normally catch myself in a position where I'm doing too much. There has not been too many weekends when I don't have something going on. And it's not even like I'm just going somewhere, like I'm participating in it. And I don't mind it because I'm the type of person who, if I sit still for too long, I actually get like a headache from being idle. So I have to do something. But God gives us rest. Even God rested on the seventh day after creation. So why don't we take rest? And that really question is, why don't I take rest, Nick? Because sometimes I don't, and I don't know how to. Honestly, I struggle with sitting still, which can be good in some regards, but I don't want to wear myself out. So Matthew 11:28, come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And when I read this, I don't take it as just, I go find Jesus somewhere in the wilderness and he pops up with a cot and he's like, go ahead, take a nap with me, bro. It's more or less like, you know, sometimes we labor and we are heavy laden because there's things that we have like given ourselves to. And sometimes it's things that we don't necessarily or aren't necessarily supposed to be involved in, or there are things that we should kind of set a boundary to our involvement. And I know for me, I really struggled with boundaries for a long time where I would get to a place where I would overdo it. And I would be the only one who was suffering sometimes because I just felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do. And it may be something that no one else would do, but that's okay with me because I'm not worried about other people when it comes to me serving. For me, it's about making a sacrifice for someone, whether or not they would make it for you, because that's what God would do for us. So a lot of times, the things that I committed myself to, they may stress my body out. They may have stressed me out, or they may have put me in a situation where I was running across town at the last minute and really like not giving my full attention to something else that I may have needed to do. But at the same time, I knew that the place at which I was making that sacrifice wasn't a negative. It wasn't like I was doing it with a disdainful heart. I was doing it because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do, and I needed to help the person that I either committed to, obligated myself with, or whatever. And I never want to let someone down because I feel like I've had people in my life let me down, and I know what that feels like. So a lot of times, recently anyway, I have started to fall back and kind of surrender those things to God and say, you know what, God, I am physically tired. And I have been laboring all week because I do have a regular day job. And then come the weekend, maybe I really didn't want to do anything else. And, you know, whenever I'm in a conflict of like if I should still be extending myself, I take it to God so that he gives me peace and resting and not necessarily continuing in a burdensome situation that I may not initially recognize as a burden, but down the road, I see how it impacts the fact that I may not have gotten something done that I should have gotten done for myself, or something that, could have been done specifically for kingdom building that was going to work through me, but I was, helping someone else. And I guess for the past few years, I've always went back and said, I'm living the life with where Jesus would, and just recognizing that he would sacrifice anything for us. So why can't I sacrifice a little bit of my time for someone else? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I still don't. I just know that God does call us to rest. And sometimes we can't rest. We live in this world that's really busy, really fast paced, and most of us are always on the go. And if we're not on the go, we're not resting. We're scrolling, we're searching up something on the internet, we're involving ourselves in someone else's lives. We're staring at a TV till we almost become soulless because we're caught up on everyone else's life and what they're doing, instead of pouring into our own or giving ourselves the rest so that we can be more productive the next day. And that's something that I really had to hold a mirror up to myself and say and recognize that, I mean, I don't watch TV as much as most people do, but definitely I like I've revealed before, I have the issue with scrolling. And then for me, I also know that sometimes I get in a position where I could be resting, but I do end up wasting time. I'll do something that isn't very productive. And it's not that it's nothing wrong with sometimes doing something that's completely out of leisure, but I feel like we should have purpose in all that we do. And for me, my purpose and what has been revealed to me just by finding this scripture, or coming across this scripture this morning, was that, you know, really, Nick, take everything to God and find rest in Him. I've been so unbothered with most things over the past few weeks, and I really haven't been stressed about anything. I've been really happy. I would say the only thing that I really need to work on is resting more, because some mornings I get up and I'm so tired and I'm trying to figure out why. And it's not because maybe I didn't sleep as well as I could have, or didn't sleep as long as I could have, but it's because I've probably been burned out from the day before doing things. I already work 5 days a week, no matter what. And then I'll sign up for something on the weekend, or, I have an event with some friends, or family, whatever, and that's cool, because God calls us to fellowship and we should spend time with each other. But we have to watch, ourselves in the regard of making sure that we're still allowing ourselves time to rest, because we've all got work to do, and we need to make sure that we do it in a time frame with decently and in order, and making sure that we're not burning ourselves out. My job actually does workshops where they talk about not or combating burnout, because it's a real thing for a lot of people. Most adults, they balance a job, they balance a family, a spouse, kids, trying to maintain a home, and somewhere along the way something gets cut short. But what I tell you is, you can have the best time management in the world and you could monopolize every minute of your day, but if you don't rest, it's no good, because the next day you're not going to be at your full capacity. So I challenge us all today, like I end most of my videos with a challenge, and that is to simply find time to rest, to truly rest. Cast your burdens and your cares on the Lord, and He'll give you that rest. We labor really hard day in and day out, and sometimes we honestly just need to sit down and enjoy the peace that God has given us. Take an opportunity for it and recognize that you don't have to do everything. You are one person. So this is really convicting me. But nevertheless, I just know that God has mighty plans for all of us. And we can't do those mighty plans or fulfill His will if we're burnt out and tired. So I pray you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.